For joining us. Oh, hang on. Good morning. Welcome to Space Oddities. I hope you're all well. Thank you for joining us for what is quite an historic occasion, the first commercial spacewalk of the Polaris Dawn crew. And we're just waiting for the things to start. It looks like it's about 10 minutes before the spacewalk actually starts. Two astronauts are going to leave the comfort of the Dragon capsule and go outside the spacecraft. And we're really excited to see what happens there. I'm joined this morning by Daz. How are you, Daz?
I'm fine. I'm fine. It's been we've been looking forward to this, as we all said. This is what really it's not everything. Um, this was supposed to happen earlier in the morning. Now I'm only speculating,
Go on, have a
but
spec.
these poor people have been have been exposed to tons of radiation already
Yes.
because they through the South Atlantic anomaly,
Hmm.
where the radiation is increased. Um, and they also went up into the Van Allen belts
Yes.
to again measured radiation there and measured the effects.
Yeah.
But also this morning when it was cancelled, I'm only speculating, I'm only guessing, but when I checked, because I know that they were predicting there was going to be some radiation storm after events that have happened on the sun over the last 3 or 4 days. And it was one of the things I was going to talk about on Tuesday, but basically I ran out of time. But
Yeah.
yeah, there was this bit storm. There's an enhanced radiation in the solar weather at the moment. And I think maybe they just thought, well, we'll just pull it back a little bit. It wasn't a major radiation storm, but there was it's enhanced. It's been measured here. It's made the atmosphere start to rumble and rattle. They are predicting that we could get something possibly a little bit later on today if it hasn't already happened.
Mm.
And I'll have a check in a minute once we've done the introduction. So yeah, were you looking forward to this, Andy?
Yeah, very much so. It's been a long time coming. We actually chatted to the pilot of the Dragon, Scott Poteet, in September last year, and then the mission was meant to launch before last Christmas. And here we are, nearly getting on for a year later, 9 months later, and there've been delays. And over the last couple of weeks, it's been a really hard job for us to keep up with everything that's happening. The launch was delayed several times over the last couple of weeks, but we're here now, and the spacewalk is due to last for a duration of 2 hours. We won't be covering, well, we don't think we'll be covering all of it live, but we may leave it running. We'll see what's happening. So we'll be with you certainly for the first few minutes of the spacewalk until both astronauts are out of the Dragon capsule. And don't forget, there'll be testing for the first time in a vacuum the new SpaceX spacesuits. So these are very, very different to the spacesuits from, for example, the Apollo era, which were very, very bulky and made them look like sort of Michelin men. So this is a true 21st century spacesuit. You can see in the video there how wonderfully sleek and close fitting and light those spacesuits are. SpaceX have done an incredible job designing the suits. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. And
Yeah.
because the Dragon has no airlock, it means that they've got to depressurize the whole of the spacecraft. So all four astronauts have to be fully suited up, and they'll open the coupler at the top of the spacecraft, as you can see in the video there. And there's a thing that looks very much like a swimming pool ladder that they will climb out of to get outside the spacecraft. We're not exactly sure what they're going to be doing for 2 hours. That information has not really been revealed. But it should be interesting whatever happens. Already today, the astronauts have been in conversation with children from the St. Jude's Children's Cancer Hospital, which, as you may know, is one of the world's leading research institutes into childhood cancer. And they've been chatting to children there who are obviously quite thrilled to see them up in space and ask their questions. And the first commercial mission, which was also commanded by Jared Isaacman, the billionaire, raised $240 million for St Jude's Children's Hospital. And they're hoping to beat that this time. So it could be that St Jude's Children's Hospital are the beneficiaries of at least $500 million from these two missions. This is the first in the Polaris series of missions, and it culminates, I think, the last mission, I think it's Polaris 4, is going to be on board the SpaceX Starship they'll be launching on. But whether that actually happens, we don't know, because as we know, the Starship has taken much longer to develop than was thought, because space is hard, as we perpetually say. So we'll have to see what happens. But the main thing is that St Jude's will be getting, hopefully, more than $250 million towards researching childhood cancer. So the next time somebody says to you that space travel is a waste of money, well, you could argue that may have been the case in some respects, depending on your point of view, for space agencies, national space agencies like NASA. But it's certainly not true for commercial flights. And this is a commercial flight. Yeah. It's a totally private flight, nothing to do with NASA. So this is a fantastic thing that they're doing for sick children. So,
yeah, sorry, Andy.
Go on, Daz. Go on.
St Jude's isn't just one hospital.
No.
It actually has outposts throughout the world, which it supports. And as Andy said, it's a children's cancer research hospital and everything. So, because when they did the first one, can you remember Inspiration 4? There was a young lady on there, I can't remember her name, but she actually was originally, when she was younger, a patient, and she had lost a leg, if I remember right, and she wore a prosthetic. Now I'm not sure. I think that she was possibly the very first person to go into space with a prosthetic. So
that's
yeah,
right.
They did really well. They did really well.
So we're just looking at the timeline for the spacewalk now, and it looks like they're not going to open the hatch until 33 minutes after the initiation of the spacewalk, which puts the opening of the hatch round about, let's work this out, 10:30 UK time, 11:30 my time. So what do you think, Daz? I think if we're going to wait for half an hour before we see the hatch.
Yeah, well, we're going to have a bit of a chat, and then we'll just sort of, like, if we need to get off and go and get a coffee or something before it all starts, then yeah. Absolutely. Because you mentioned Starship. Of course, that's supposed to be part of this project. And of course, and you were saying that it's struggling to develop. Well, of course, it's now got new problems. Well, they're not new problems. It's the same people causing them problems, and that's the FAA.
Yes, the FAA.
The controlling body of the airspace and of space industry, who control. Basically, they have to they issue licenses for every launch for American spacecraft. Sorry.
Did you see the heated exchange about this in Congress?
I was looking for that last night, actually, for something to watch. But yeah, it has kicked off. Yeah.
Yeah, apparently the FAA were remitted to set up a working body to look into updating their rules and regulations about the governance of spaceflight. They were meant to do that by the autumn, and here we are in September, and they haven't even set the body up yet. And when somebody from the FAA was asked about this, you were meant to have done this by the autumn, he said, well, it's September, it's not the autumn yet. Well, looking out of the window here in Spain today, where we've got 17 degrees and grey skies and intermittent rain, looks like bloody autumn to me, I tell you that much.
I tell you what, you do this every bloody time. 17 degrees. And what are we struggling with here? We're talking about the first frost on the ground here.
Oh, sorry.
So yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but
we're dying for 17 degrees.
I have to deal with this stuff. Only 2 weeks ago, it was 38 degrees. you know, and it was a
Oh,
real
David.
shock to the
Yeah.
system. I actually had to put a jacket on this morning to
Yeah.
go out for the
Oh, you
first
had to
time.
put a big coat on, did you? Oh,
Yeah,
bless.
yeah.
You got a vest on.
I actually had to wear a jacket for the first time since when? The end of
Yeah.
April. You know,
Yeah. Well, it's like I
for
said,
me,
it
it's a
would
big
come.
shock to the system. So
Yeah, because it's funny because, and this is just going off track a little bit, talking about this, is that we spend a lot, as you know, we love to go to Lanzarote,
yeah,
and of course we go in December, and we're walking around in shorts and t-shirts and all that, moaning,
yeah.
well, let's get out the heat, let's go and have a drink and all that.
Mm.
And they're all the locals are walking around with coats and that on, and you think, it doesn't make sense, but that's the way it is. But we're not used to the heat, so when we get it, we enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And of course, you're used to it all the time. So when your temperature does drop, it's just like you say, it's your autumn and your winter. So
By the way,
yeah,
I would like to apologise to our viewers for any horrible mental images that Daz mentioning himself walking around in shorts may have given you. So there
yeah,
we
it could have been worse. Could have been budgie smugglers.
are.
So don't
So
worry.
anyway,
Don't even
let's see.
go down that way. A
Yeah.
man, a mankini. Anyway, we won't
let's
go down there. Look,
have
that's it. Oh, look, everyone's disappeared. What's going on? But
so
yes, no. Let's get back to space flight.
yeah. So anyway,
Um,
let's have a look who's in. Kevin Earp's here. Hi, Kev.
yeah,
Hello,
David,
Davidson. Hello, Davidson. Hello, David Stevenson. Nice to see you again. Thank you for being here.
Kenneth.
And Kenneth as well. Morning, Kenneth. Hope you're well. Thank you for joining us. And
Yeah,
we're about 25 seconds away from the first action of the spacewalk, which will be to start depressurizing,
yeah.
and that will take about half an hour before they're ready to move on from that and actually open the hatch and get outside. So we're coming up on this. And what we're going to do now is we're just going to have a listen in. We're joining NASA Spaceflight this morning. Thanks to NASA Spaceflight. We're joining NASA Spaceflight. And let's have a listen to what they're saying.
It's cloudy. Jack did go outside and looked at the sky, but unable to see the Dragon going over, not because of lighting conditions, but because of clouding conditions.
And Francine coming by, yeah.
Yeah, it's Francine continuing up the coast there. Still a little soggy out there at Starbase, but going over the Houston area now. The big dip there is going to be near Houston, Texas, and the coast of Louisiana is where it sort of curves back around to the south, it looks like.
Yep. They're currently checking out the heads-up display units. Those are now powering up. That is going to give them temperature, pressure, and humidity readings right through their eyesight near the helmet, which is new to spacewalking.
Ah.
On the
All
US
right.
suits, in case
Yeah.
you're wondering, they actually have their measurements on a pack on their chest, and they are written backwards. So they have a mirrors on their wrists that they use to point forward and then take a look.
Oh, interesting.
I think they have like the HUDs in the helmet as well, and then I don't think the helmets for the two EVs have cameras in them too, like a POV camera sort of deal. But I think that's the big difference between the two suits, like the folks staying inside versus the folks going outside, right?
Exactly.
I say going outside, you know.
Oh,
what
I
I
think
mean.
we're getting a live view.
Shot on board. Look at that.
Oh,
Wow.
Oh, wow. This is happening, guys.
is he awake?
There we go. Yep. Looking at Jared right there.
Yeah. Looks like they're in a very
got
intentional
real.
position right now,
Mm-hmm.
Which
like
you can see
holding
the
their
hatch
arms. Yep.
above them. And in fact,
Yep.
to help make it easier for them, they actually added a motor that will activate to help open and close as they start and end their external portion.
So it's not just them pushing against it; it's actually got a little assist, basically.
Exactly.
Hey,
SpaceX, we're on backup
gents, you
sensors.
guys-
Repeat HUD checks.
Okay.
We'll listen in.
Well, you can see his tether.
You can actually
Crew's
see the
gonna check
umbilical.
out.
Yeah, you can see the umbilical down there. So he's reading something off of his arm or checking something.
checking the heads-up display, it sounds like, so I'm sure that I wonder if there's something they're looking at related to the HUD.
That looked like a thumbs up from Kid there.
And from Jared, yeah. Which obviously right now the cabin still pressurized as their visors are open. Once they start, those will be closed and locked.
I was really looking down at that to see if I could see the glass in there or not, but it looks like EJ ran outside real quick. Capsule's going over the northeast part of the United States. EJ is up in Boston, Massachusetts, so he's going to hop outside and see if he can't spot himself a Dragon capsule with 4 human beings on board going through the sky.
Yep, and for reference, it appears like the entry capsule that they came in on is to the right. You can see to the left that square kind of thing that is where all of their touchscreen displays are. And again, obviously the hatch is up relative to this view.
Yeah, you can see the handle up there that you could get up to the hatch with. I don't know if you could quite hook your toe in there, if you're supposed to hook a toe in there if you needed to do that, but that's sort of the orientation here. The seats are sort of looking up towards the hatch.
Yep. And there's a good view of all of that. And you could see, looks like support 2 over there, Anna working on the touchscreens, or that could be Sarah. So far they're at
Okay, so nothing incredible happening at the moment, but the
No.
process is underway for them to eventually leave the spacecraft. They're checking their head-up displays and other things. So, Dad, shall we return in a little while?
Yeah, if we just leave it running and then
Yes, absolutely. So Daz and I will leave you. We'll leave this running for you with the sound, and we will return. What's the time? So it's 11:04 your time, isn't it? So
Yeah.
in about 20 minutes, something like that.
yeah. Do you want to make the screen? If we
Yeah, I'm
stop
going to.
our
Yeah.
cameras and make the screen big, and then we can
Yeah.
everyone can enjoy it then. So yeah, this is exciting times. They've got. I mean, this is the first time this has ever been done.
Hmm.
All these suits are brand new. They've never been tested in space before. They're going through every single thing. Space is dangerous, so they've got to make sure everything is correct. So yeah, we'll come back in about 5 or 10 minutes time, and then we'll hopefully things will be moving, and I'll be monitoring what's going on anyway. So
Yeah.
see you on the other side, folks.
Right. Okay.
And I see in chat somebody saying, "Didn't we do this like 60 years ago?" You're right. We did do this like 60 years ago. We did this in much different orbits, even on the way back from the moon, higher than this orbit. But we haven't done it since then in this sort of capacity, and we need to be able to. So that's why this event is so important. It's getting us back. I guess back, it's actually pushing us forward into new capabilities here because this is a private spacewalk with a private team of individuals. This isn't a government. This isn't a country doing this like it's what was done back in the past. This is a private entity, a private, what's the word I'm looking for, sir? Your organization, enterprise
that works, yeah.
that's happening here. And we need to do it more, right? We need to do it more. Hey, that is an interesting distinction in chat. It says they did it 60 years ago. We need to do it today. I like that.
Well put. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
the first spacewalk technically was a cosmonaut. That was Alexei Leonov, and then, as mentioned, Ed White performed the first U.S. spacewalk. We're talking early to mid '60s, so it's been a while. As great as it is to be able to do the spacewalks on the ISS and maneuver all the way around, if we're going back to the moon, this is something that we need to be able to do, especially with the Lunar Gateway Station that's planned, with all of the EVAs. Even during Apollo, there were a couple of Apollo missions where, while the crew was walking on the moon, the person in the command service module still in orbit did their own spacewalks up there. Very similar.
Yeah, I saw that scroll through, and honestly, I know that it was probably intended as sort of like a poking fun, like, oh, it's been 60 years since we did this, but we can't just sit here and be like, well, they did it 60 years ago. We don't need to do it anymore. I loved what I saw scroll through in chat. I'm sorry I didn't catch the name, but they did it 60 years ago. We need to be able to do it today, a lot more than just being on the ISS. Sure, NASA still does it on the ISS, but a private capsule, private enterprise, private individuals here, not the government, not a country doing this. One day we'll see commercial, hopefully space stations and commercial EVAs, and this is the start of how you go out to mine an asteroid, right? It's a long way between this and that, but these are the things that we need to be doing. We can't just sit back and say, "Oh, well, we don't need to do this. We already did this 60 years ago." Right?
Yep. You could also see out the window now, orbital sunrise there. They are now in daylight, which again, they get 45 minutes of daylight and 45 minutes of darkness each day, or each rotation, I should say, each orbit.
Yeah. Getting some check-ins from some of our NSF team members here. If you don't know, we're nasaspaceflight.com. NSF here on YouTube, we're an independent team of folks who love covering space. You can tell that we're not NASA because of the way we talk, right? Well, let's listen in.
Position for EVA start.
Nice.
Excellent
SpaceX copies, crew in position.
But you saw
Did anybody catch what they just said there?
They are clear for EVA start.
Clear for EVA start.
Let's
Excellent. So not quite starting the timer right there exactly on time, but getting close to where we'll start counting up in that timeline, it sounds like. The check-ins from the NSF team members. Looks like we were able to see it, the Dragon pass over in Ohio. One of our folks, Gage, popped outside and saw Dragon pass over in Ohio.
Support
New
1,
York.
com check.
Support 2, com check.
SpaceX copies all, good comms, all 4 crew. SpaceX copies all, good comms, all 4 crew.
So essentially now all of our crew are on open
radios.
mics. They can all talk and hear each other. And
I say it sounds like a hot mic, but it's
Yeah, it did. It did sound like the top mic, or like a hot mic. But EJ, sounds like you're back. Did you catch it up in Massachusetts?
I got Vandenberged. I live too close to the ocean. The marine layer is too thick. I couldn't see it.
Lame. Hey, at least you went out inside.
Also, we're-
touched grass for a second. It was great.
By the way, just worth noting, Jared there checking all of his suit connections, checking that everything's zipped up there. You saw him a couple times tugging on the tether connection to his thigh there,
Yep.
making sure everything is ready to go.
All right. Has a little bit of a, I guess there's that handrail that he's holding on the right-hand side. That's the hatch that they get into the capsule on, correct?
Correct.
Got some fist bumps there as well.
90 seconds from now, they will initiate the EVA, which will begin by closing up the visors and getting those suits pressurized and ready to go. Again, they don't officially mark the EVA beginning as when they leave. That has officially marked the start of it as they begin purging the suits of any remaining nitrogen and get ready for that 100% oxygen environment and pressurized.
Gotcha. We're going to keep with the views here as long as we can have them. You can see there's a bit of pixelization happening. But these are live views coming from inside the Polaris Dawn capsule via SpaceX right
this is
now.
live from 350 kilometers above the Earth.
There you go. Are they on the upward leg or the downward leg right now?
Upward currently.
Upward currently. So the altitude is increasing. And it
Okay.
sounds like the official update, Sawyer.
Yep. It sounds like the official update is we are go for EVA.
Yeah, visors down.
Let's see what we get on this. When we switch away like this isn't us switching away. We are using what SpaceX is providing. You can actually see some folks starting to pile up in the background there just outside of Mission Control. SpaceX employees there to watch the show.
2 is go.
Support 1 is go.
Support 2 is go.
Dragon SpaceX initiating secondary O2.
And with that news, our EVA has begun.
There you go. You heard it from SpaceX and the capsule itself. It sounds like the EVA has officially begun just before 6:13 a.m. Eastern Time here in the United States.
Yep. And there's now an official EVA elapsed time clock as well.
Yep. I'm curious, as we count into this, remember, it is going to take them some time. They're doing the suit purges now. It takes 5, almost 6 minutes for the purge. They're going to do some leak checks. We're about 30 minutes away from the hatch opening here, just a little bit more than 30 minutes. I'm curious this morning, where are people watching this from? Low Earth orbit doesn't count. Somebody's going to say it. I'm just going to get it out of the way before you do. But I see so many different names in chat. I see so many different folks talking about what they're seeing. Okay, wow, that went a lot faster than I expected it to as soon as I said that out loud.
That's a lot of people.
Wow.
Yeah.
I saw Tennessee. There was an Indian in there.
Australia,
Norway.
Perth.
Yep. Indonesia, the UK, New Jersey, Poland, Germany, Australia, Austria. There's an Australia in there again, another France, Sweden, some Texas. There's no way I can read all these. How many people are watching this stream? 30,000 people here hanging out with us.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome. Thank you for being here, everybody. Sincerely. We really mean that. This is an awesome moment, and we're happy to share it with you.
Yep. That's sort of what we do, folks. Things like this are going on. We'll hop in. We don't have scripts. We're going to read you off. Okay, now we'll talk about this for 5 minutes. Like, that's not what we do. We're space enthusiasts. I mean, I'll say I'm a space enthusiast. EJ, you like space, don't you?
I've been known to enjoy
little bit.
space from time to time.
Sawyer, how about you?
Yeah, I'd say I like space. Definitely.
You know, it's all right. We're a group of enthusiasts here that love to share these sorts of events with you. People watching from all over the world. If this is the first time you've been to the channel, you know how to get back. There's the little button where you can click subscribe or whatever. But we cover.
Welcome back. Hi, Daz. You're muted. You're muted.
What an amateur! What an amateur!
What an amateur. You can't get the
yeah.
staff, you know. You really
I mean,
can't.
I must admit, I'll be quite honest. I don't know about you, but I'm actually feeling some almost butterflies in my stomach.
Oh, really?
It might be wind, but no, I am. It's sort of like this is really sort of like getting. Oh, come on! This is. I mean, as they said, they've started the decompressing the. Well, first of all, they're pressurizing their suits. They're also purging in the suits of any nitrogen and stuff like that that's left lying around. Because remember, over the last couple of days, they've been decompressing because when they go out into space, it's like a diver that comes up from deep sea. They have to decompress so they don't get the bends.
Absolutely.
So their suits are being pressurized. I assume in a minute they will actually start decompressing the cabin because you don't want to just open the doors because they'll all go out. So yeah, this is gonna looks like it's gonna happen. So
Indeed.
But like I say, these suits are nothing like we're used to seeing on spacewalks.
No.
In fact, they almost look exactly the same as the suits that they take off in. They're launch suits,
Yeah.
except for the umbilical.
Yes.
Um,
Indeed.
but yeah, this is fascinating.
And,
Yeah,
and if you look, isn't it interesting that the umbilical actually plugs into their leg?
yeah. I thought there was when I saw it, and he was giving a bit of a tug. I said, "Don't pull it too hard, please." Yeah, I mean, these suits are specially made. I mean, they've also been made to withstand micrometeorite impacts and things like that. But these suits have been built by SpaceX in the matter of a few years.
Yes, indeed.
Unfortunately, NASA and its cohort of contractors can't even build an EVA suit or a moon suit. In fact, the people who are making the moon suit, have pulled out.
Mm,
So, of course, we need the moon suits for Artemis.
yes.
But Bucko says my jeans are thicker material. Yeah, they probably are.
I'm sure they are.
Yeah,
I'm sure they are.
but are they bulletproof?
Well, exactly. Are they micrometeorite proof?
But yeah, it's these suits have been specially designed. They've been tested to the nth degree. Well, let's put it this way: that if they thought there was any problem, there's no way that would they be letting these people even attempt this. So they've been tempted in every single way that possible that they can test them on the Earth. So now we see the big test. They're going to take it for a test run and see
Absolutely.
how we get on. So yeah, I mean, if the technology works and everything's sound, because I think excuse me, I think the actual what they're going to do is literally go outside, and I think because there's two astronauts going outside, they're going one after the other. But it's basically all they're going to do. They're not going to do any. Well, I don't think they are. From what I've read, is all they're going to do because they've got, so like you said, that swimming pool ladder type thing that they're going to be standing on, and that's all they're going to do is they're just going to stand up and be exposed to space. They're
Yes.
not going to float away from the actual capsule itself.
No.
This is so that they're not going to be doing exercises. I suppose they'll probably just do some movement just to test the joints and see how easy these things are to move.
Mm.
Because I'm assuming once these, I mean, I'm not sure what sort of like pressurized the pressure is in the suits, because if you pressurize them too much, they'll become stiff and you won't be able to do anything.
Very true.
So I'm just fascinated. It's it's we're just waiting for the timeline when they're actually going, because as they said, once they put the visors down, that's when they're saying that is the official start of the EVA. So they're already into the EVA.
According to that,
So
they're awaiting the suit leak check. So obviously they need to check that the suits are not leaking in any way.
oh yeah, I can see it at the bottom there. Sorry.
Yeah. So let's hope that's the case.
Yeah.
So, have they actually put forward any schedule for the next Polaris mission? Do you know of any timing on this?
Not offhand, I don't.
I don't think anything's been announced yet.
No. Well, there's no crew been announced,
No,
so yeah,
no,
it's going to be a while. I mean, I don't even know if they've got a crew in training.
I don't know. I don't know. There's
So
not a lot of information. But
no,
maybe we can
no.
find out more when the pilot, Scott, who's the one I think in the background there,
Yeah, one with his feet out the window by the
one
looks
with
of
his
it.
feet out the window, yes, he will be coming back onto Space Oddities to talk to us.
Yeah.
We've got him to do that. He volunteered to do that, to come back after the mission and talk to us on Space Oddities. So we're looking forward to that, and perhaps when we chat to Scott, we'll get some idea of the way that the rest of the Polaris program is going to play out, as it were. But he was certainly a fascinating guy to talk to. If you haven't watched the interview that we did with Scott, Then if you look at the channel, it was playing this morning, but you'll see it on the live section of the channel. You can have a look at that if you like while you're waiting. It's about half an hour, but he was a fascinating guy to talk to. Scott
very
is an
interesting.
extremely experienced pilot, and he does all sorts of amazing things.
Yeah.
He's taken part in many Ironman competitions.
Yeah.
He actually co-founded a school for Navy pilots, in fact, which has actually grown into the biggest military pilot training school. So he set that up. He's an amazing guy, and very, very unassuming and humble. And we had a lovely chat with him in September of last year, a year ago. So as I said earlier, we thought then that this mission was going to be launching before December of last year, but it's been delayed, as these things are. So we're just waiting for something to start. Now they've done the suit leak check and they're awaiting the venting of the cabin. Now that's going to be the next stage. And
what's the next one along, Andy? Can you see?
Cabin venting. So that's what they're waiting for.
Okay, right. Okay, cabin venting. Yeah.
So that's moving along the timeline. So at the moment, they're at an altitude of 410 kilometers over the Earth. So obviously not the highest point of their orbit. They've already achieved the highest point of their orbit, which was 1,400 kilometers above the Earth. And as Daz mentioned, they actually passed through the South Atlantic anomaly. Now, this is an area of the Earth where the magnetic field of the Earth is much weaker than in other places. Over the South Atlantic it is, and that means that that area is subject to more radiation from the sun because our magnetic field does not repel the charged particles from the sun as much in that area. But part of this mission is researching the effect of radiation on humans. Daz mentioned earlier that the compression and decompression that the astronauts go through can cause very bends-like symptoms, as you probably know from diving. If divers come up too fast after they've been at a depth in the ocean, they can get nitrogen bubbles forming in their blood, and this is a potentially lethal condition known as the bends. And astronauts go through a similar thing, or can go through a similar thing. So part of this mission is to do research into that and how to combat it from the astronauts' point of view. Also, they're doing a lot of research into other medical things. Another thing that astronauts suffer from, particularly on long-duration space flights, is the fact that in microgravity, your eyeballs do not retain their spherical shape. They become a little bit elliptical. And many astronauts, when they return to the Earth, especially after long-duration flights, suffer from this condition, which apparently is quite painful and affects their vision quite badly. So they're doing research into that as well to see what can be done about it. So this is not just a mission to carry out a spacewalk, although probably many people see that as the highlight of the mission. But we should not forget the excellent medical research that's going to be going on as well. Not to mention, as we said earlier, raising a lot of money for St. Jude's Children's Cancer Hospital. So this is a very different type of mission to what we've seen from organizations like NASA. As it is a commercial venture, then it is by nature very, very different. And this is why it's so historic, because this will be the first commercial spacewalk, and only the second time in this program that we've seen a completely commercial private space flight. And this really is opening up space, isn't it, from the commercial point of view?
Yeah, and when and what you mentioned earlier on Congress, they are actually now very big in pushing more for the commercial side of it, which it really needs, because NASA has got itself into this massive rut of using the same old contractors, and unfortunately it came back and bit them in the backside with the Starliner incident, and this has opened everybody's eyes. We were talking about. We don't know about the next Polaris flight, but Kenneth has written the next commercial manned mission will be the Fram 2 mission,
That's right.
launching fourth quarter with the Norwegian lady on it. But that's another mission, of course.
Yes.
But also, isn't there an Axiom crew going up at some time?
Yes, there's an Axiom space mission. Again, I think that's meant to be happening before Christmas as well.
I think they've delayed it, and its name slipped into early next year. And again, this all comes back to this Starlink fiasco. This is part of it. But all the crews are messed up at the moment, because at the moment, one of the interesting facts is at the moment there
You
are
mean the
19.
Starliner, not Starlink?
Sorry, what? Sorry, Starliner. There are 19 people actually in orbit around the Earth at the moment, which isn't the record. The record's 20. But these are because the 20 was achieved when one of the Virgin tourist things went into space. So that actually created 20 people in space at the time. But these are all astronauts that are going to be there for quite a while, days rather than actually just a sort of like a quick flight. Because you mentioned the South Atlantic anomaly. The fact, I mean, they were exposed to enhanced radiation there. Now, the South Atlantic anomaly is, or may be considered, and they think maybe that this could be the beginning of, because we know that our poles switch, and there's speculation that this might be the beginning of this all happening, but also it could actually be that there is going to be another pole forming, which means we will become tripole. At the moment, we got 2 poles. We'll have 3.
Yes, because in relation to that, Bucko says, I would guess that there are other weak spots. Yes, indeed. I mean, the Earth's magnetic field is by no means constant around the Earth. It does have weak spots. It's just that the South Atlantic anomaly is the weakest one, and therefore the most famous. But you're absolutely right. There are other weak spots in the magnetic field, but the South Atlantic anomaly is definitely the weakest spot. And of course, as we approach solar maximum, it's going to be even more variable, and we'll have to see the results from the experiments that the astronauts went through when they did.
I mean, we know it does have effects, because South America has lots of anomalies with GPS, radio transmissions, because it's a weaker spot. More radiation passes through in it, so it has more of an effect. And as I said, it affects quite a lot of things, to be quite honest. But yes, I mean, the thing is, it's nothing unusual, because it's the same at the North and the South Pole. Because all the radiation, and when we have auroras or when we have anything, it's all pulled in. If everything's correct, I've got to be careful here. If everything's correct, then it all gets sucked into the North and South Pole, and so there, of course, then the radiation is increased, and this is why frequent flyers over the North and South Pole have to consider how are they going to fly if they're going to go fly over there, because they are going to be exposed to enhanced radiation flying over the poles, or close to the poles. So I was just looking at the suits, and it all looks like they've put on a few pounds. They become sort of like Teletubby like, so they've definitely got their suit.
Yes, as we can see from the timeline, the cabin venting has started, so they're depressurizing the spacecraft.
I see they're both out of their seats by the looks of it there.
Yes.
bit.
So things are progressing towards this historic spacewalk. And it'll be a few minutes. Yeah, that's going to take a while to depressurize the spacecraft. So there we are. So we won't see much happening over the next few minutes, definitely. But things appear to be progressing well. Let's just have a quick listen in to see if they're saying anything of import at the moment.
Pressure differential between the suit internal pressure and the outside, that you can still move your elbows. You still have some flexibility. Imagine it was just a tube, like a balloon, that you would fall into a balloon animal, right? Astronauts are literally balloon animals when their suits are inflated like this.
Yeah. That's okay.
The gusseting there actually allows you to keep that mobility. Like, think of a long noodle balloon and trying to bend that. Like, imagine there was an elbow in there. The one you would fold into a little dog or a sword or a pirate hat or whatever, it's tough to bend. You sort of have to twist it to get that bend, and those elbows are built in such a way so that even though there's that pressure differential, the balloon is inflated, right? The astronaut balloon animal is inflated. You can still bend your elbows and have that mobility.
Yeah. I mean, suit design cannot be understated. These are complicated pieces of equipment, and the fact that SpaceX has taken that dive into doing suits with extravehicular activities in mind is very. It cannot be understated how difficult that actually is to do. And the fact that we're seeing it happen here in real time is very special. It's a treat for sure.
Yep. And they're continuing to go higher up in their orbit at this point.
Breaking new ground with this, new suits, new operations for everything. We're at about 4.5. We're going to see that tick down. It's going to get down to
I see a lot of people in chat asking why it's taking so long. You do not want to shock pressurize these suits. You have to kind of go slow and deliberate. Think about, like, if Das, you were talking about balloons. Think about if you had a balloon and you pushed a bunch of air into the balloon, you shock loaded up that balloon with pressure quick, it'll pop, right? But if you slowly inflate it, right, you slowly blow it up, you can get the balloon pretty big before it pops. Now, in this particular case, the spacesuits of the balloon, you do not want them to pop. So you would pressurize the suit slowly, which is what we saw. And you're going to depressurize the capsule very slowly. You don't want the balloon to pop. Now, the suits can probably withstand a shock here and there, but you don't want to sit here. This is not the place to test that, right? So go slow. You want to go slow. You don't want. Yep, go ahead.
Kind of like how when you're in an airplane and you've got a chip bag that slowly inflates as the pressure changes.
Exactly.
The bag typically doesn't pop.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, if you were to push all that pressure into the bag, all of a sudden you'd have chips everywhere, but you reach down into your backpack or whatever, and you pull out the bag of chips, and you're like, what is going on here?
So, nothing much happening at the moment there. I suggest what we do at the moment, we have a short video, which is only about 3 minutes, which will tell you all about the mission objectives of the Polaris Dawn and give you information about each member of the crew. So we're going to play that now, and we'll be back in about 3.5 minutes.
Are you muted, Andy?
Okay, so there's some information for you about the objectives of the mission and the crew. As we can see, nothing much more happening. The spacecraft continues to depressurize, and there we are. So, Daz, what are you most hoping to see here? I mean, personally speaking, I can't wait to see the views of the astronauts with
Well,
the Earth
yeah,
in the background.
because
That should be
I have
something.
noticed that a lot of the, I mean, if you saw the views of when they actually reached 1,400 kilometers, when they were actually passing through the Van Allen belts, and if you notice, I've just popped a note into the chat. I said the short time the crew spent passing through the Van Allen belts exposed the crew to the radiation equivalent to 3 months on the International Space Station. And this is what they've,
Wow, that's a lot.
this is what they've been monitoring, and this is why I speculated a little bit as to why they put the walk back, because, like I said, they were exposed to radiation in the South Atlantic anomaly. We shoved them up into the Van Allen belt. They're still being exposed to radiation because they're in space. But earlier today, we did have enhanced radiation. It was a minor radiation storm that's hit us due to events that happened on the sun over the last 2 or 3 days. So I'm speculating with that. I'm not saying that's what it was, but wouldn't it be ironic that the actual launch was delayed because of weather, and then the spacewalk is delayed because of weather in space? So I don't think
Yes,
holding up an umbrella is going
indeed.
to actually protect them that much from the
No,
radiation.
no,
But yeah, no, to
no.
be quite honest, because what you've got to remember is that once they open that hatch, they will all be doing the EVA in respect. Even though
Yes,
they won't be outside, the two that are sitting in the seats who are the backup, they will be exposed to space. Once they open that hatch, the
yes,
space will
indeed.
enter the actual capsule itself. So they'll all be exposed to it. They'll all be doing the EVA. Um, as I said, I don't think they're actually going to be doing that. Oh, hello, Chris. Thanks for joining us. Um,
Oh, hello, Chris.
I
Nice to
don't
see you.
think they'll be doing much in the way of exercises and things like that. They'll just probably just be moving around, seeing how supple the suits are, how easy it is to move around. There are, as far as I know, there are no planned um, things to be doing. He won't be moving around the outside of the capsule itself. And as I said, they're going out one at a time. So I think this is probably why um, it's basically this is supposed to take about 2 hours long. Um, but yeah,
Yeah,
I'm just amazed at the whole thing. And it just goes to show, going back to what we were talking about with Congress and all that, this shows how versatile and how adaptable commercial space is. Um, it's been
indeed.
stifled for all these years. Um, but people have actually gone out of their way to um, hinder anything to do with um, the commercial side being used, and it still goes on today. But this is just go show how versatile is it, how quickly they've made these suits. They've yes, it took them some time, and part of the delay, original delay, was because the suits, um, these suits have got to be impenetrable. They can't have any leaks and all that, and they had to develop them from scratch, but they've done it, and they're nothing like we've ever seen before. And this just goes to show how adaptable and how outside the box commercial businesses, space businesses, can think and how they can do it. Because, like I said, unfortunately,
Absolutely.
due to new regulations that the FAA have come up with, the IFT of the Starship 5 is delayed, and it's bureaucracy, and really there's no need for it because we've done. Um, uh, I, to answer Eric's question, It says, so if one suit is faulty, the mission will be scrubbed. Yes, of course. Yeah, they've got to be. I mean, they would have known that by now. So
Yeah.
all if they found um, they've just got to they got to take their time, as the chaps were saying. You don't want to shock test these spacesuits; they're pressurized.
Okay, can I just interrupt you there, Daz? Your sound is
Oh, is
breaking
it?
up
Oh, I do
terribly.
apologise.
Yeah, that's okay. Look, we're got to the point where they're opening the
Right.
hatch.
Oh, and as I was going to say, can you hear me, Andy, properly? Yeah.
Yeah, that's better.
There is inside the gondola. There is a camera which actually looks at the hatch, and it's the view that we've mostly had. Because can you remember when they were going to reaching their apogee, 1,400 kilometers high? But while they were actually going up there, we could actually see the thrusters burning as it was pushing them up into a higher
Yes.
thing. Yeah, take note,
Amazing.
Boeing. That's
Amazing.
what thrusters working look like.
Yeah. So Derek says, so if
Yeah.
one suit is faulty, the mission will be scrubbed.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. They won't have an option. If there's one faulty suit out of the 4, then they will scrub the mission. But so far, it all appears to be okay, and they're just getting ready to open the hatch now.
Didn't they say that there's some sort of like small motor on there just to help him to open it?
That's right.
So he's not actually having to exert too much force on it. But we look like we're getting there. It says hatch open prep. So
Yes, preparing to open the hatch. Let's just listen in now to NASA Spaceflight to see
Also
if there's any
approaching the
useful
highest point in
information.
the orbit, by the way. 730 kilometers up at this point. Just waiting for that push.
Yeah, you can see little motions there. The video's not frozen.
Yep, you have Jared Isaacman again, EV1. Sarah Gillis is
SpaceX target
EV2.
pressure reached.
Copy that, SpaceX. I'm unseating the hatch now.
Jared now opening Dragon Resilience.
Look at that.
Hatch unseated.
It's moving.
So you saw some motion on the hatch. Again, he's just giving it kind of that initial tug. And then Sarah gets to push the button to swing that hatch open.
Motor assist we were talking about.
Exactly. Sarah, EV2.
Much more movement there on the forward hatch.
We also have support 1 and support 2, which are Kid and Anna.
it doesn't seem
This
to
must
be
be pretty
hidden,
exciting
does
for
it?
Jared because that center part of
Dragon SpaceX. That's a good brace. We're going to have you repeat the operation.
center of the hatch actually has a window.
SpaceX, the hatch is unseated.
Copy.
Let's give it another pull. The hatch is several inches.
Look at that.
Green light.
Copy. We see it.
Interesting they had him repeat it.
Yeah. I mean, the hatch is definitely out of position, though.
Looking out that tiny window there in the forward hatch, knowing he is going to have a much bigger window in just minutes.
There's surprisingly little room between his helmet visor and the hatch here. It's like his head is bounded by the control consoles there. The back of his head is touching the panels.
And his feet are right
Dragon
at the
SpaceX
hat,
vent complete.
the front hat.
Here we go.
EV1 return to seat.
And EV1 copies, transitioning back under the display.
Oh, I see how they're doing it then. So he loosened it, I believe. He's going to go back underneath his.
So again, one of the
display
reasons we
screens
had
there.
Jared do that was to
Dragon SpaceX, we're actually watching that hatch. We're going to have you repeat the last operation.
Sounds like they're going to have him repeat them. One of the reasons we're doing that is just to kind of vent any of that residual atmosphere.
Up from under the display.
And EV1, you are go for manual hatch open.
There we go.
Sounds like we got our first audible of the day. As we said, that we can open the hatch.
Opening the hatch manually.
We could open the hatch.
Switching to a manual
We could open
hatch
the hatch
open.
automatically, or we can do it manually. And so they just gave Jared the go to open that hatch manually. So we just went out of ground station reach, so we'll get the views back.
Wow.
We'll get the views back real shortly. And then
all this is being televised
where the
by
capsule
Starlink
is.
as well, isn't it?
The capsule is going down around south of
Yes,
Australia,
that's
the middle of the Indian Ocean, almost all the way down to Antarctica right now, and we've lost the live video.
That is fantastic news
Hatch is
for
open.
those that.
SpaceX EV1, I'm looking at the seals. Initial view looks pretty good. I don't see any bulges or indentations.
Copy on hatch seal report.
Ultimately.
Yeah, that seal that you just heard him talking about, it's such a important part for the end of the EVA, right? So that when they close that hatch again, you get a good... Get a good seal of the
TV2 SpaceX, can you command open forward?
There we are.
This is going to start open.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
There is our first view of the forward hatch, wide open to space.
Forward hatch.
All right. So we did get the video back. The hatch is open.
if you just jumped in, we are
Let's see how
38
far
minutes
back
into
Jared is
today's
leaning
spacewalk, and the hatch is open on Dragon. First view
like
from
we
a
got
helmet
a,
cam.
Hey, that's the helmet
Looking
cam.
out.
Oh, wow.
Helmet
that is
cam,
Jared's
forward-facing
EV1
view,
is go to
looking
continue.
into the howling dark in space there.
That structure you see there is
EV1 go to continue.
EV1 good. SpaceX EV1, I'm transitioning back from under the displays.
SpaceX copies, we're with you in your helmet cam.
once again this helmet cam. That structure we see is the spacewalker. This is Jared now egressing through the forward hatch of Dragon Resilience.
Skywalker, yeah.
Hi, Michael.
These are the first
He's on the
views
phone.
of the first ever commercial spacewalk.
I'm at the bottom of the mobility aid, progressing.
I have a feeling the crowd is about to go wild.
There we go.
Good call. Approaching the top of the mobility aid.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Look at that view.
Wow.
I'm at a loss for words, gents.
Look at that.
You know, SpaceX, back at home we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, Earth sure looks like a perfect world. All right, SpaceX, EV1, I'm going to step into Test Matrix 1. Single-handed mobility demonstration.
Wow. Look at that.
Commander Jared Isaacman now emerging
Copy, we're with
from
you in Test Matrix 1, watching from the nose cone.
This is one of their planned tests.
Up,
Checking out
down,
mobility is
left,
with
and
just
right
one
are
hand.
threes. Pitch and roll are 3, yaw is a 2. Switching. Single-handed operations are fine. Static and with dynamic disturbance. Switching to left hand.
looks so effortless.
He's flexing.
Up, down, left, and right are 3s, maybe a 2. Pitch is a 4. Roll is a 2. Yaw is a 2.
So these are the suit mobility checks that Jared is
Single-handed
performing.
operations, dynamic and with disturbance are all adequate. Test matrix 1 complete. HUD check, 5.3 psi, 48% RH, 33.9 Celsius.
He's reading off the
Test
HUD.
matrix 1 and HUD readout.
Crew ops check, EV1's good.
EV2's good.
Port 1 good.
Port 2 good.
Okay, stepping into vertical translation. We're going to start with the horizontal bars.
Further out of the hatch than I thought they would be.
I was gonna say, is that far enough out for you, man?
Yeah.
Also, as they transition there
All
from
right, we're going
orbital
to
night.
transition over to vertical.
Look at the Terminator, man. It's beautiful.
I'd say vertical and horizontal are equally workable, slightly favors horizontal. I'm going to do a max reach. Left hand's at the top of the mobility aid. At the midpoint. You have good video?
Oh, we've got video. Oh, I jinxed it. Hopefully
We
it comes
just
back.
lost our live video, stand by 1.
Okay, switching over to max reach.
Commentator's curse, maybe?
Hey.
I guess that would
Copy that,
be
SpaceX. I'm
Spacewalker's
holding up
curve.
at the max reach.
Yeah.
And EV1, go ahead and continue the operation. We'll let you know we're back on with live video.
Hey, he asked about it, not me.
And for your awareness, max reach, levy aid, and the mid bar. And that's test matrix 2 is complete. HUD readout, 5.3 psi, 33.9 Celsius, 50% RH.
Copy, test matrix complete and HUD readout.
There you go.
Crew op check, EV1's good.
EV2's good.
We're good.
Port 2 good.
Stepping into test matrix 3, hands-free demonstration.
EV1 SpaceX for ingress time.
Hands free. Here we go.
Go, SpaceX.
Recommended ingress time of O2 flow plus 7 minutes.
Copy that. Ingress time, 7 minutes.
And Dragon, we're back on live video from the nose cone.
It looks like they have some lights on the nose.
Copy that, SpaceX.
Yeah.
It sounds like 3 more minutes for his portion.
Yes, they did have exterior lights on there. So.
Oh, man.
He's way out of that thing.
That's awesome. I have no words. Guys, I'm sorry.
And SpaceX EV1. I would say the hands-free demonstration is very comparable to the trainer in terms of the foot restraints.
SpaceX copies.
There are foot restraints in there.
And EV1, when you have time, if you'd like to return to the reach demonstration, we'll take a look at that with the live video.
And remember, this is the first of
Test
2.
matrix 3 is complete. The HUD readout is 5.3 psi, 47% RH, 33.8 Celsius, and stepping back into max reach.
Copy, test
And as
matrix
you
3.
can see, top of the mobility aid.
Warm in
And
that
let's
suit
get a
at
quick crew op
33C.
check. EV1's good.
EV2's good.
I'm good.
Port 2 good.
Copy that. Okay, max reach, whether it's left or right hand, seems to be about the same. Top of the mobility aid, and then the mid-run.
Copy, we see it.
Checking up from the bottom. Any go back, SpaceX?
Negative. We got about 1 minute until EV1 ingress.
1 minute left.
Now we just get to watch the
1
Earth.
minute.
Can you imagine?
I wouldn't
Look
be
at
able
that.
to focus on anything else. I'd be staring at the blue marble the whole time.
Only imagine that view.
You wanted to see the time to get the umbilical and then his right foot.
We got,
There's the helmet cam.
Yep.
EV1, we're checking out your helmet cam now.
Well, I'm checking out your nose cone right now. And
dude, you can
looks
see
pretty
him.
good.
You can see Rook.
Copy,
That's
we're turning nose
wild.
cone. See you looking at us.
Show us the nose cone view, please.
Yeah.
Show us him facing the camera.
Yeah.
Before he goes
we're coming
in.
up about that O2 flow timer time. Crew check for ingress. EV1's good.
EV2's good. O2's good.
All right.
We missed it.
SpaceX EV1. That's for the huge team
by.
effort that it took to get us to this point. We know it's just the start. And I'm transitioning back into the vehicle.
Sounds like the video feed has been lost there. Audio still coming through.
And there's the video return.
Helmet cam.
It's
Ingress.
mind-boggling to me that you can see Rook in the reflection on the helmet cam. That's really cool.
And SpaceX EV1, we're taking a quick look here at the hatch seals. From what I can see so far, they look pretty good.
Copy on the hatch seals and stand by for transition to 3-off reset.
Now with Jared in, next up is Sarah Gillis.
Good.
Seems like she will retreat underneath the video screens, and Sarah will then come out from underneath them.
And EV1 is clear.
Getting back into the seat, it looks like.
Yeah, it looks like you got a little hung up on the hatch there.
All right, so Jared back inside. We heard him going through what's called the test matrix. It's basically just a bunch of maneuvers using different hands, using the foot mobility.
3-off reset is in progress.
Folks, we've got EV1 all the way back into the capsule. That's the first of two, by the way. There's still another one coming up. The hatch is still open, but that was EV1, and we still have EV2 to come. Good grief.
So, any thoughts, Daz?
Well, I'm just stunned. I didn't know what to say. I'm a little bit sad we missed when he turned around and faced the gondola lid, and he waved at the camera.
Yes.
They had his helmet cam on, which we couldn't really see a lot from. But
No.
yeah, it's like I said, I've put in the thing. It's history in the making. And people say, "Oh, yeah, we've done this 60 years ago." Yeah, but that was national space agencies doing that. This is a private company.
Yes, it.
Um,
This is an all-private
and
mission.
these
Two
people
private
are
companies.
really basically civilians. And I think you've said it before, and I've said it before. This is pioneering stuff. This is being done for the
Indeed.
very first time. This is a bit more like the Apollos, where things were done literally one after the other, not knowing what the results are going to be. And of course, here goes. Is it Sarah? Is it Sarah who's going out? Yeah, Sarah.
Yes, I think so.
And of course, that's another thing. I mean, her and Anna, they actually now both also hold the record for the furthest females to travel out into space from Earth. When they went
Yes,
into the Van Allen belts, they broke the record for the highest women in space. So
That's right.
but that, of course, as we said, Artemis will be the next thing up. So
yes, let's have a
Between
listen.
19 and 18.
She, of course, is in a slightly more awkward position.
That might be
Not
best
being directly
repeated
on
with
the hatch.
hatch closure.
SpaceX copies. Can you repeat the location?
After EVA complete. Between 19 and 18.
All right, copy. I'll track that and ask again when you're ingress.
Copy. EV2 is proceeding with egress.
Super exciting to see this. Our fellow SpaceXer, Sarah Gillis.
All right, so
It must be
about just short of an hour. It's been 52 minutes since they started the EVA onto the internal suit, providing the environment for them to breathe, live, temperature control, all that sort of stuff. But
right now it seems like...
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. It seems like they're trying to move Jared's umbilical out of the way. It seems to be in the way at the moment. That's what she's trying to do.
Yeah.
There you go, Sarah, moving up into the hatch.
Look at this.
View.
Oh, that's a new view.
Oh, that's excellent. Brilliant.
Look at that.
I mean, I said it before. A lot of us work here because we want to do this.
All right, stepping into test matrix 1 for single-handed mobility.
Really cool to see one of our own out there. That's awesome.
That tunnel is longer than you think.
Right.
So, single-handed mobility.
For awareness, we're watching from the nose cone.
Moving herself with one hand.
Oh, I mean, Das, a lot of people were asking, like, why is she not moving one hand? What's going on? What they're doing here is, you don't want to go out and then just start doing, proverbial jumping jacks in space. You want to go slow.
All 3 translation axis, I'm having certainly cross-coupled movements. Forward, back, I'm inducing a bit of a roll.
You want to just test individual facets of the suit slowly and methodically. Remember, this is the first time they're doing this. That's why she's just not moving her left arm, and neither did Rook.
But all are achievable. Rating of 3.
They're the exact same test as Jared.
Roll is a 4.
Does she got a 4?
And pitch is a 3.
Amazing.
Just proceeding through the test.
Source for left hand. Stepping into vertical translation.
SpaceX copies. And EV2 for awareness, we're tracking an ingress time at O2 flow, 5-9 minutes.
Copy, 5-9 minutes.
3 minutes from now.
Yep. So now the vertical movement, we going up and down from our perspective.
Horizontal bars are definitely preferred.
So what Sarah's doing here, guys, is she's providing feedback to the mobility of the suit. This happens when you're going to test a new suit. Once again, you're moving one piece of the suit at a time, and
I'm adequately able to stabilize my body with single-hand disturbances.
And as you get further and further into this test, you're going to start giving yourself more mobility, but you're also providing feedback to the engineers, to the people that made this. The real-time feedback is very helpful with the video.
Stepping into max reach, do you have visual?
To understand the dexterity of the suit.
Visual on the nose cone.
Copy
that is
from
the
bar
Earth
4
blower,
to
by the
bar
way.
2.
Yep.
From top down. And similar reach from bar 2 up to bar 4.
SpaceX copies reach.
Dragon currently over New Zealand right now.
And
yeah.
EVA test matrix 1 complete. Seat pressure 5.25, 33.8 Celsius, 37% humidity.
SpaceX copies HUD readout and test matrix 1 complete.
Copy, stepping into test matrix 2.
Like we mentioned before, views going in and out due to those ground station coverage gaps.
Yeah, we comms are
Some of the same.
comms are through satellites, but we've got ground stations for video on Dragon. As you can see in the tracker, we just flew over New Zealand. We're about to go right over the middle of the Pacific. No ground stations in the middle of the Pacific.
Forward are actually pretty good.
I wonder if we've got a big
We're hearing the
blackout
voice
here
of
after we
mission specialist Sarah Gillis, our fellow SpaceXer on her spacewalk.
get out over the Pacific here.
Yep. And a reminder, this is not us cutting the video. This is just a satellite handover.
This is what we are getting from SpaceX. If we are getting something from SpaceX, we'll show it to you. But when the video cuts or pixelates, that's coming from SpaceX.
And you could see the Earth dark, and we flew into like an orbital.
All right, and test matrix 2, time to combine them, so we'll call that complete. Seat pressure 5.27, 38% humidity, 33.7 Celsius.
SpaceX copies matrix complete and HUD readout.
It's toasty in that suit, y'all.
Yeah, it's getting, the suits are getting a little warm.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. There's no way to get rid of the heat.
Copy that, EV2. And once you are able to engage, disengage, we'll actually have you start ingress. We're just over 5-9 minutes O2 flow.
Copy. With that, EV2 is proceeding with ingress. Pre-check for ingress.
EV1's good.
EV2's good.
Good.
14 good. Copy. Coming on in.
All right, and just like that, Sarah's going to start making her way in.
Are clear.
Check those hatch seals again.
SpaceX copies on striker plates. And EV2, I have one more ask for the hatch, if you can check that out as well when ready to copy.
Ready?
Right, and
Ready, copy.
Copy. And EV2, what I'll have you do is, when you ingress, can you get eyes on the hatch handle mechanism and see if the handle has been stowed in the do not stow window, and report if you can see that?
It's stowed in the do not stow window.
Check it.
Yeah, guys. Sorry, we're not providing much extra commentary here. We're just listening.
Yeah.
This is
Copy,
fascinating.
just outside. Thank you.
Just outside the range.
Also, super at a loss for words.
Yeah.
And for awareness, I do see a couple of those same points bulging again between 12 and 13.
Copy, your go to address.
No, mostly between 12 and 13 right now.
SpaceX copies at 12. If you can, your go to address those.
Copy and worse.
Sounds like they're making sure the seal along the
Numbers being
portion
called out
of the hatch-
represent the location around. Yeah, the location around the circular hatch, just identifying where these bulges are. So Sarah's now reseating that seal.
Not quite able to reach the back one, so we'll proceed with clearing for hatch closure.
Just like that, we're already hearing about hatch closure. It's incredible that these two EVAs, just in 2 blinks of the eyes, are...
ED2 is clear of hatch, please.
2 checks.
Just listening in, we're not sure we're going to get live feeds back. They're out there going over the Pacific Ocean. You can see Australia and New Zealand there that they've already gone over, but not a lot of ground station left to bring us the live video. If they were giving us live video, we'd be showing it to you, but there is not a lot out there in the Pacific. So,
You good?
Copy. Deploying handle. Applying force. And closing.
Once we get ground station coverage, again, we will be sure to bring you views within the Dragon capsule. But right now, Sarah is closing the forward hatch.
It sounds like we might give the motor a try.
You confirm the hatch is visually indicating closed?
And hatch is verified latch.
Hey, commanding EVA hatch closed.
This is where you wish the Earth was flat. We wouldn't
EVA
have
hatch
black
closed. All Dracos enabled.
There we go. Big milestone right there.
yep.
Dragon SpaceX, we see EVA hatch closed and pressure indicates good hatch seal. Stand by for transition to EVA repress 1.
So, chat, note in the bottom left-hand corner that Dragon residual PSIA right there is at 0.1.
And EV1 copies. Everyone check secondary O2 valves closed.
As Core said, it's an indication of a good seal.
Okay, so it looks like Sarah's
Yeah.
back inside, and of course the hatch has been sealed. Looks like the hatch is sealed, closed correctly. Will the OSS? You mean the ISS, Anne? No, I don't think it will. Yeah, predictive text, always a pain. No. I don't think so. So there we are,
Yeah,
and it's all over.
It
as quickly
really
as
was.
that.
Well,
Any thoughts?
it's history in the making, as I said. This is pioneering stuff. This is cutting edge. These people are putting themselves on the line to advance our ability to actually explore space. It's, as I said it's earlier. It's a bit like the pioneers, the Geminis, the Mercuries, the Apollos. These chaps were.
Indeed.
It had never been done before, and they were going to do it. But the difference is this is a commercial crew. They're all civilians with a civilian capsule, and it's absolutely fantastic. It's that they've been able to achieve this, and basically it's forward. I did notice. I mean, I agree with what Derek says. He said it looks very difficult to get in and out. Good job there, not in a hurry. Well, the thing is, this is what it's all about. This is why they have to do these things, is they now know that there's a little bit of congestion when they're trying to get in and out. But of course, things are going to adapt. I mean, they've only been out for probably about 20 minutes each, probably not even that. But of course, they're limited to the resources they've got, the oxygen and everything else. But no, this was the test. Can it be done? And the answer is yes, it can be done. They're going to adapt these. They're going to change routines. They're going to do this, that, and the other. And hopefully we're going to see more and more of this. Like I said, we really need more commercial crews like this. I know that. I mean, the ones that are actually doing anything are run by billionaires. But if NASA can move away from what they've done in the past, how they've worked in the past, and start using the commercial, then maybe they'll encourage more people to come in. Because if you remember, Andy did an excellent presentation on Tuesday about why we do. People say space is a waste of money, but when you look into it, it's not. The advantages far outweigh the actual disadvantages. So, and the thing is, the money that's actually being used in space exploration is not even a drop in the ocean. It's minuscule. But we really need to see a lot more of this pioneering stuff. People going out there pushing the envelope. But yeah, I'm absolutely gobsmacked, Andy. I mean, when Gerard moved, I didn't know what to say, to be quite honest. How did you feel?
Absolutely. Well, I felt absolutely fantastic. It was amazing to see. But don't forget, even though the Dragon can hold 7 astronauts, it's still quite cramped, and they didn't have a lot of room to get in and out. But don't forget, in the normal course of operations, they won't ever need to. That would only ever be in an emergency. I mean, the spacewalks are not usually part of Dragon missions, but it's just proving, first of all, that the spacesuits worked. They didn't appear to have any problems at all with the spacesuits. The SpaceX sounded quite happy with the data that the 2 astronauts were reading off their helmet displays, and it was to see whether it could be done. And we now know that if astronauts had to leave the Dragon spacecraft in an emergency, then everything works.
I mean, to answer Anne, this is a time lapse from the ISS. If you look at it, it's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
No, I'm only joking. But Derek has asked, so can this vehicle be used? Oh, you've just popped out.
Yeah. So the answer to that is, Derek, that NASA intend to deorbit the Hubble Space Telescope at the end of its life and slam it into the Pacific. SpaceX have volunteered to go and service it so that it can have a longer life. But NASA are not letting any commercial company anywhere near the Hubble in orbit. They think it's too dangerous in case they damage it. So there are no plans approved by NASA to service the Hubble. And as we know, it's had a lot of problems with its gyroscopes recently. And I think it's only working on one gyro now, isn't it? If I'm not right, 1 out of the 4. So it really could do with a servicing mission, but NASA are not happy about letting any commercial spacecraft.
You knocked the nail on the head there with the word commercial.
Yeah, they obviously don't trust commercial companies like SpaceX not to smash into the telescope because it's too valuable. So anyway, no is the answer to your question, I'm afraid. But theoretically, it could be done, but NASA just won't permit it. So there we are. It is a pity, Anne, but I understand it. But of course, NASA have got no spacecraft themselves at the moment that can service the Hubble. Anyway, that's how it goes. Whether that changes, whether actually this mission will affect how NASA view commercial spaceflight, because don't forget, even though on the surface NASA are in favor of companies like SpaceX, not so long ago they were doing everything possible not to use commercial companies like SpaceX. But because when the space shuttle was retired in 2011, and NASA had to spend several years paying the Russians for seats up to the ISS, and it got up to $93 million per seat up to the ISS, which was incredibly expensive. It had started at 50 something, and of course the Russians had the Americans by the short and curlies, and just kept putting the price up and kept putting the price up, and it ended up at $93 million. And of course SpaceX came along with what they were doing, and NASA obviously started the commercial crew program in 2015, giving Boeing $4.3 billion to develop the Starliner. Enough said. And SpaceX only $2.3 billion, so they got around about half what Boeing got, and they developed the Dragon. But there's been a long fight to change attitudes within NASA in favor of commercial spaceflight. And as we saw from my presentation on Tuesday, the vast majority of the money globally spent on space exploration is now commercial money. It's all commercial missions and commercial technology. And in fact, national space agencies, and don't forget there are 76 national space agencies throughout the world. A lot of people, especially in America, think that NASA is the only people who do anything in space. But the vast majority of the money now is not money given to the national space agencies, which, as Daz correctly said, is absolutely minuscule. It's money from commercial companies that's going into the exploration of space. So the whole balance of space exploration is changing. But at the end of the day, NASA don't trust SpaceX not to crash into the Hubble. So that's why there will not be a servicing mission.
It is a shame. It is a shame. It'll be a shame to see it go.
And Chris, Chris makes a good point, actually. Let's just put this up on the screen. Chris actually says, why are they concerned about damaging Hubble when they intend to destroy it? Good question, Chris. Because it is going to die anyway.
When they were the discussions were going on, and it wasn't just NASA who were against SpaceX going and servicing the Hubble. Even some of these actual astronomers were worried about that if they sent up, if damage was caused to the Hubble while there was still some chance of scientific work being done. So they were also, some of them were a bit adverse to the idea of going to the Hubble to service it. They want to use it as long as they can, which is quite justifiable. But then again, if they could extend their life by another 10 years, who's going to moan about that? I think Michael's coming in, is he? Hello, Michael.
Hello, Michael. Hello, how are you? Yes, we noticed.
It's all right.
Thanks for joining us. Well, we're going now anyway. So I think I don't know the answer to that, Chris. There's all sorts of internal politics with this, and you never know quite what is really happening and what the opinions really are. But I think we agree with you that if they're going to destroy the Hubble anyway, why not give it a shot? But of course, they're worried about the safety of the astronauts as well doing the mission. Because if they crashed into the Hubble, it wouldn't just be the potential destruction of the Hubble. It could kill the astronauts as well. So this is why they think on safety grounds it's not worth it. I have absolutely no doubt that SpaceX could fly the Dragon alongside the Hubble telescope without any problems.
I mean, it is. But then again, just another question that's popped into my mind, and this is going back to the Starliner, and we're talking about things surviving in space. Remember, the Starliner was supposed to be used to boost the International Space Station into a higher orbit, because, of course, remember, this thing is falling all the time. Anything in space is falling, and it needs to be either sped up or it needs to be boosted back up. Now, does this do you think this will affect the fact that they're talking about decommissioning it in 2030? Will it be earlier now if they can't get this Starliner to push it back up? Because this is one thing that seems to have been missed with all this malarkey with the Starliner.
Can they boost with the Cygnus?
They did say that they could, but they said that they can't for some unknown reason. I can't remember what excuse they gave. The Cygnus does have the boosting power, but they said that they couldn't do it. I think that there was some reason why they couldn't do it, and Starliner was one of the reasons they were pushing for Starliner was to do this. So I was just wondering whether or not that means the International Space Station may come down a little bit earlier than I thought.
I think we'll have to wait and see the results of the investigation into the performance of the Starliner. But as it stands, I mean, the Starliner can't even boost itself into a high orbit, let alone
that's another story. We'll talk about that some other time, especially when we've got a bit of information back and stuff like that.
If Starliner did work, we could use Starliner to boost Hubble.
Well, yeah,
that's true.
But we're all agreed then. NASA. Oh, okay, then I won't.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, to be quite honest, we're like I said, we're sort of like picking around the edges of a very serious problem here. And if you really want to know what the politics of NASA and old space, as they call it, is read a book by Laurie Garver. I can't remember the title of it, but she was the vice president of NASA, and she was in one of the instigators of actually bringing SpaceX into the Artemis program. But of course, that we know what all the trouble that kicked off. But when the new director, who's in the position at the moment, or administrator, Mr. Nelson joined, he wasn't there much longer. But if you read her book over, because I mean, she's been in the industry for decades and decades. Sorry, I do apologise. She's been in the business for decades, and she struggled against not just also being a female. There was female prejudice, but she was one of see, we've got images back. She was one of the people who fought to get commercial crews, commercial businesses into the system. But the fight that they've had to do that, and unfortunately, the way I see it, it's gone backwards again since she left. To a certain degree, but Congress are now beginning to ask questions themselves. Whether or not that's serious, I don't know. But when you've got Boeing with all their lobbyists in Congress every day, pushing senators, making donations to their election campaigns and things like that. They're one of the biggest lobbyists in the thing. But I recommend you read her book. And you will. It was an eye opener. I knew there was problems, but I didn't realise how much until then. But
could you just tell us the name and the title?
It's Laurie Garver, and I think it's something about is it Escaping Gravity? Something like that. I was trying to look for it. So I can find it's here somewhere. But yeah, it was a real opener of how bad the situation really is. It will show you now. It'll put you. You will then realise why this Boeing situation is such a big deal. Because Boeing, like I said, this Starliner is a fixed price contract, and now it's costing them. I think last I heard it was 1.6 billion. It's cost them, which has come out of their pocket. And with all the other problems, they don't want to be losing money like that all the time.
Yeah.
But they they have said they will never do a fixed price contract again. There's lots of YouTube videos that more and more people are now beginning to speak out about this. A lot of people have hedged kept their cards close. They don't want to upset NASA. They don't want to upset these people. But now people are saying this is a rip-off. It's all a con, and that's what it is. So yeah,
absolutely.
So yeah, it's Laurie Garber,
Right. Well,
and I think it's called Escaping Gravity. I wish I could find the book now. Yeah,
right, thanks for that.
Brilliant.
I think we'll wrap things up for today, viewers. Just to recap, 2 astronauts performed on the face of it totally successful spacewalk outside the Dragon capsule. The suits appear to have performed perfectly. The spacecraft appears to have performed perfectly. We had some lovely views of the 2 astronauts as they left not exactly left the capsule, because they were still partly inside it. They were never going to actually go on and float off in space. But they have proved that the SpaceX spacesuits seem to work fine, and the spacecraft as well, and everything appears to go well. So we'd like to thank you all for
they've repressurized the cabin now, so it's
yes, they're just checking for leaks.
So,
they've repressurized it, checking for leaks. So everything going well there. So we'd like to thank you very much for joining us today. Very kind of you to spend your time with us today. We will, of course, be back next Tuesday for our Tuesday live stream, as always. If there are any major events in this mission before then that is worth bringing to you, we will, of course, do that. Don't forget the Facebook group, Space Odysseys Live, and subscribers of this channel can join that group, and that's where we keep you up to date with everything that we're doing. So keep an eye on the Facebook
is Saturday,
group.
Is it?
And Splashdown is Saturday. Yes. We will, of course, be bringing you the Splashdown, depending on what time of the day it's happening. But we will do our very best to bring you the... No, poor Daz. He was up all night for the launch.
Yeah, I was monitoring what was happening here, just in case they cancelled anything. And then I was just lining everything. I was lining everything up, and then all of a sudden they said, "Nah, we're moving it back." Oh no!
All right then. So from all of us at Space Odysseys, keep your eye on the Facebook group. We'll keep you posted. Keep your eye on the channel, and we'll see you for the Splashdown, all being well. And if we don't see you for the Splashdown, we'll see you back here next Tuesday for our Tuesday live stream. Don't forget, we have 450 videos on the channel at the moment for you to watch, and all sorts of things we've got there. So have a browse through the playlists on our channel. Don't forget as well that if you would like to support Space Odysseys, you may do so, and we'll be very grateful for any support. And you can basically support Space Odysseys. The easiest way is to buy us a coffee. So you can scan the QR code there, and I'm hoping that a link has just popped up in the chat to that, which it hasn't. No, there seems to be a problem with that at the moment because it didn't do so on Tuesday either. So we'll get that sorted out. But you may scan the QR code here, and that will take you to the Buy Me a Coffee page. Any donations towards keeping Space Odysseys running and enabling us to bring you more things like this are gratefully appreciated. So from all of us at Space Odysseys,
can I just
have
say
a fantastic
one thing, Andy,
rest of the
quickly?
week.
Keep an eye on your Aurora alerts. We could be getting something probably a little bit bigger than what we were expecting. So just keep an eye on your Aurora alerts.
Yeah.
There we are. Possible Aurora coming up. Thank you, Daz. So from all of us at Space Odysseys, have a fantastic week. Take care, look after each other,